All right. Hello. Hello. Welcome back to Frequency with me, your host, Michael Edwards. We're here for a quick conversation today. We're actually running a visibility challenge inside my world right now, inside an offer called Scene. We have an amazing guest mentor named Ali Timo, who is creating all of the prompts. And so I am participating in my own way. My desire is to create more of a habit and less resistance to just dropping in for these amazing conversations with you. If you notice, if you're watching on video, you'll see that everything isn't perfect here. That's what I'm really practicing, is just dropping in and having this conversation. And so the prompt for today is, if I could tell you one thing, if there's one thing I could tell you, it would be this. And the moment I heard that prompt, I knew exactly where I wanted to go with this, because there's something that I see in my world, and I've seen in clients for years, but for some reason it's been more and more on my awareness lately. It's this thing, this truth that sets us free, which is that the things that you're ashamed of, the things that make you think that you're behind, the ways you judge yourself, you are not alone. You are not as different as you think you are. You are not as broken, as behind, as defective, as whatever it is. And I say this because I watch people again and again come up against the same things in their lives, be courageous, be willing to look at the shadows in themselves, and to come face to face with that, have this reaction of, oh my goodness, there's something wrong with me. I'm failing. I'm the only one that has this self-doubt. I'm the only one that's wired this way. I'm the only one that thinks this way. I'm the only one that's experiencing these things. And I'm here to tell you, it is not the truth. It is not the truth. I have worked with I've worked with thousands of people, but I've worked with hundreds of people one-on-one and in close proximity. And I've worked with professional athletes, with multi 7 and 8 figure founders. I have worked with really big names in the personal development and transformation industry. I've worked with incredible world-class leaders, and I can tell you that everybody has this human stuff come up. And for so many of us, we've already done our initial stage of healing, right? If you're here listening, you're already probably pretty conscious. You're not in trauma. You're not in despair. You're not in distress. You've already done that first leg of the work. And so a lot of the times we feel like, because we've done that, because self-love is on our radar, we're already aware of rewriting our own narrative and our own thoughts. We're aware of our vibration. We're taking care of ourselves in all of the psycho-spiritual ways. And so as we continue to find more, we often feel like, wow, this must mean that I'm flawed. I'm not good enough. I'm not as far ahead as I thought. But there's this saying, new level, new devil. And it really is the truth. Just like in a video game, on the first level, you fight the boss and then you level up and you get more powers. But then the boss comes back too and you fight the boss again, but the boss is leveled up too. That's what it's like. And because we live in this weird echo chamber with social media, where we are seeing the reality of our worlds, but we're seeing so many other people's highlight reels, it often creates this false perception that everybody else has it figured out and has it together and feels amazing. And now, I'm not saying that we should normalize wallowing in self-pity or negativity or any of those things, but I am telling you, hear me, I am telling you that powerful people who are leading, who are innovating, who are trailblazing in incredible ways also have incredibly difficult moments that you often don't see. I know, because a lot of them call me when they have those moments. And it's so important that we recognize this, because our instinct when we have this judgment, or when we have this reaction to ourself and the things that we're seeing within ourselves, is to guilt and shame. I love the scale of consciousness. Guilt and shame are literally the lowest vibrations. Do you know what comes after shame when you're going down? Death. That's it. It's why people end their lives in the horrible states of despair and shame, because of how heavy, how life draining of a vibrational state it is. And so the second you start looking at yourself in this way, when you're really doing a courageous thing, it takes a lot of courage to look in the mirror. It takes a lot of courage to dive into your shadows. And the second you take this courageous thing that you've done, I'm willing to see. I'm willing to look at myself, which is so much more than so many people do. And then we don't like what we find and we go, oh, yeah, I suck. I'm terrible. I'm behind. This means we make it mean something about us. Nothing means anything except for what you make it mean. Hear that again. Nothing means anything except for what you make it mean. You are the meaning maker. You are the writer of your own story. And so when you put this story on yourself, that it means that you're not good enough, that it means that all of these things are wrong with you, it's shame. It's heavy. It takes us down. It's like you're trying to swim up to the surface and you're adding weights. Every time you shame yourself, you're adding this weighted vest that is making it harder and harder for you to rise. So the question, the invitation is, can you meet yourself with understanding, with self-love, with compassion? One of the reasons I think that this is so hard for us is we live in this society where one of the loudest collective motivation is pain. And my mom used to say this thing to me, and this is not shaming my mom. I love you so much, Mom. But she used to say this thing to me. She was like, if you don't do better at school, you're going to end up pumping gas. And I know a lot of moms said things like that in the 80s and 90s. But it was always like this motivation from the negative. If you don't do this, you're going to suffer. You're not good enough. Let that be the thing that pushes you forward. And the thing is, that negative motivation does work. Our motivation really at a very primal level is driven by two things. It's to move away from pain and towards pleasure. Away from pain and towards pleasure. And so if you create this pain to push yourself away from, it does work. But the thing is, the pain exists in that lowest paradigm of the frequencies. So you can only push yourself so far with pain, and then you hit a limit because it's like, I can't go higher vibrationally, which is where all the magic is, and still be motivated by negative. And this is the majority of the collective is still motivating through pain so that we're moving away from pain. And this is where we get to really tune in to desire, to self-love, to self-compassion, and be willing to see ourselves with self-love, with softness. This is such a dominant thing in the collective, and we're so used to being motivated by pain that I think that we're afraid that if we take the pain away, if we take the self-shaming, the self-blaming, the self-guilting away and just love ourselves, we're like, well, I'm just going to settle. I'm just going to melt into this marshmallow of mediocrity and I won't go any further. But it's like, no, that's not the truth. And the caveat to this is you may actually have a phase where you're not as driven. I definitely went through this. I'll give an example actually with my journey with my body. I used to hate the way I looked. And every morning I would wake up and I would look in the mirror and I'd look at my body, and however I felt about the way I looked was how I felt about myself that day. And so all of the exercise and the fitness and the health stuff I did was really from this place of punishment, of self-punishment. And then when I really dove into my healing journey, started to really love myself, I was like, oh, none of this even matters. I can just love myself no matter what. And so this pain of almost like this carrot of, if you lose 5 more pounds, if you gain more muscle, then you can love yourself, that went away. And so it was just like, oh, I just love myself and I love all this food and it's delicious. And I gained more weight then. And then it was like, as I grew more, I was like, actually taking care of my body, fueling my body, loving my body, nourishing my body is self-love. That's actually the physical expression of this self-love I'm feeling. And then I moved into this beautiful, harmonious relationship with self-care that was based on that, on positive feelings, on self-love and self-respect and self-appreciation and self-honoring. And so it's the same with the journey of anything that we're doing in life, whether it be in our career paths or personally or whatever aspect of your life that you are feeling resonance with in this conversation, those things are the same. And so you may go through this phase where you don't know how to motivate yourself within the pain, but that doesn't mean that we go back to the pain. That's the time to lean in and love yourself enough to grow, love yourself enough to become more, because that's what happens when we feel loved, we grow, we blossom. If you've ever noticed in the beginning stages of a relationship, when you're feeling those feelings of falling in love, and very often many areas of your life will flourish. And it's because it's so easy to access that feeling of being loved because someone else is loving you right now and you can feel it. You can feel it. It's like fertilizer for your soul. But the thing is, that is available to you in every now. And there is no soul fertilizer that is as potent as your own love. We all carry this old imprint from childhood where we feel like we need to be loved externally because at one point we did, but actually, as an adult, you are your own greatest source. You are your own greatest source of lifting yourself up. No praise will be as powerful as your own praise. So, as you go through and look at these difficult things, can you tell a different story? Can you say, yeah, of course I'm looking at these things because I'm amazing? And a lot of these things in life, they come up when we're challenging ourselves, when we're actually doing big things. I don't feel fear and doubt come up when I'm doing the status quo, what I know I can manage. I feel the fear and doubt come up when I do something crazy. That's when, but that's part of it. That's part of living on the uncomfortable edge. Is having these feelings come up, having these doubts come up and going, no, 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 I'm not gonna go into the story. The very fact that I feel doubt, the very fact that I feel some fear is because I'm in the game and I'm playing a big game. And if I'm seeing things in my shadow or I'm seeing things where I have room to grow, that's because I'm literally become the person that's conscious enough that can see where I have room to grow. So can I just let myself grow? Can I nourish myself into that growth? And the thing is, this doesn't feel painful because you're weak. It feels painful because you feel deeply. And feeling deeply is such a big part of the work. I have had, some brutal things over the last 6 months. I had some friendships fall away, which at the time was so painful. And now I look back and I'm like, oh my goodness, these were so misaligned. This definitely had to go, which I consciously knew at the time, but it was still painful. And I was dating someone. I thought there was a lot of potential and that ended. And that was really painful as well. And I've been noticing how much things hurt. And I feel like they hurt more than they ever have, but it's because I have become the person that's willing to stay in my heart, that's willing to stay connected. It's so easy to shove the feelings down. It's so easy to numb. It's so easy to build walls and go, well, I'm not going to let people in anymore because it hurt. No, to stay open, to stay in your heart, to not build walls, to be an open-hearted, loving individual with a touch of more discernment and boundaries, perhaps, for sure. But without those walls around your heart, to stay open, that's the courage. And so, very often, it's actually some of the greatest qualities that we've cultivated in ourselves that we feel some of this pain through. But can you flip the script? Can you look at it differently? Can you see that the very fact that you feel, the very fact that you have doubts, that you have things that are coming up, that you're willing to look at the parts of yourself that aren't that great. It's like that Taylor Swift song, I'm the problem, it's me. The very fact that you're willing to look in the mirror and say that and ask yourself the question, where am I not so great? Where is there room for me to improve? It's the very thing that makes you amazing. So can you just experience yourself as amazing? Can you experience yourself as this masterpiece in progress? Can you experience yourself and not in a I haven't arrived yet way? We want to get out of this personal development world like I'm becoming, I'm arriving, my next level. It's just like all an illusion. You're here now. You're a beautiful multidimensional soul. You are living consciousness in human form and you're becoming more that you are. Just the way a plant grows into more and more that it is, you are never not enough, but you're always becoming more of who and what you are. And so can you experience yourself this way? Because there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to hide. And the truth is when we have the courage to share vulnerably, it inspires others. It creates such a level of connection. And I have worked deeply on this, being more transparent, being more vulnerable. I share more and more with you guys in these conversations. And in my inner circle, Lux Familia, I mean, man, I share everything. I tell them everything. I'm so unafraid to tell them when I'm going through something difficult because I'm like, oh guys, look, this really challenging thing happened in my life, but look at how I applied the tools and I take them to some dark places. I did cry, share the things, but I also share how I'm leading myself through it. And I can't even tell you when this just became the norm, but it did. And interesting because lately a few people have reflected back to me, wow, I'm so inspired by how vulnerably and authentically you lead. And it made me step back when I got that feedback because I was like, oh, yeah, this isn't how it always was. It really took a lot to get here. But as I reflected, I realized it's my own journey with healing and dissolving my not enoughness that led to this place. Because once upon a time, I was like, oh my God, I'm leading this group of powerful, amazing, incredible, intelligent women. I can't tell them that I just got my heart broken, or I can't tell them that I just had this problem, or I can't just tell them that I got triggered into scarcity, even though I'm like leading them about all of this bravery and courage and getting unhooked from the matrix when it comes to wealth and money. But then it's like, yeah, I can, because there's no part of me that fears that that makes me not enough. I know that I'm enough. And this is just the story. This is just what's happening to my human. It doesn't define me. It's just an experience that I'm having. I don't associate with it emotionally in that way. And in fact, it makes it real for people. Some of the most powerful, powerful, powerful teaching moments in my spaces are when I share something real. I'm going through it. I'm actually grateful for those things because sometimes when you experience something difficult and then you get to apply the tools, you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. This is how it feels. Definitely for me, the focus in the last few years has been on business and confidence in my career and my skill set and money. And I've worked so much on those things. And of course, it's a journey with no end, and I continue to develop in all those ways. But there's a base level of mastery there that feels very solid. Whereas I haven't really been focused on dating because I've been focusing on growing my career and building my business for the last couple of years. And so I really haven't tapped into some of these patterns and wounds around love for a long time. And so as this happened and I was experiencing this rejection, experiencing this pain, I was like, oh my God, this is so intense. This is so painful. And I can apply the tools to it. And actually gives me this point of context because some of my clients experience that more heavily around money or business. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about how this is coming up for me and give you examples of how I'm leading myself through it and applying the tools. And then let's translate that to you because it's the same thing. And it was kind of refreshing in a way for me because I was like, I forgot how intense this can be. Because sometimes you're like, oh yeah, now that I know the things, it's conscious, but we forget like the really big things are unconscious and energetic. And so we may consciously know this. How often do you experience this or see someone in this experience where they consciously know the right thing? You consciously know that you should be telling yourself nice things, that you're enough, but then there's this unconscious part of you that goes, but the fear, what if this worst case scenario, this worst story, this worst perspective, this worst belief is the truth. And that's real. And that's where we get to do the work, where we get to lean in. But that's what makes you amazing. And vulnerability is a superpower. And there's so much performance out there. So many people are in the pride vibration performing for validation. But when we give ourselves this self-love and this self-seeing and we dissolve the not enoughness, there's nothing to perform because there's nothing to compensate for. And you're free. You're literally free from the inside out. And people feel that. They feel this sense of truth and honesty for you. And it's so refreshing. And that's available to every single one of us. And I used to think that that kind of vulnerability made me unprofessional or messy in some way, but now I know that it makes me powerful. It's part of how I lead. It's part of the value. It's part of what I offer the world is this raw, authentic version of me, and having the courage to share in this frequency and from that place uplifts, which is amazing. And I share openly because I'm no longer afraid that my humanity disqualifies me. And that freedom, that's what I want for you. And so can you change the story? And can you recognize the fact that you're willing to look at yourself, to question your patterns, to integrate these unintegrated parts? It already makes you extraordinary. Most people choose performance and you're choosing truth. Most people choose avoidance and you're choosing awareness. Your willingness to look at yourself is the thing that will separate you from 99% of the world. And this work, it's deep, it's subtle and lifelong. So many of us know the things. If it was just about the surface things, you could read the pop personal development memes on Instagram and be healed, but it's not like that. It's this deep journey of self-seeing, of self-recognition, of holding yourself and being held. And this is why I created Lux Familia, my inner circle, because the world teaches us to perform, and we need spaces where we can finally exhale, where we can be free, where we can show up as all that we are, the brilliant parts, the messy parts, the mystical parts, the parts that you have never felt safe to share anywhere else, and to be held in that. And I see the amazing people, the women in my space blossom, and they come in, and I see them in the highest light. And at first they feel like I'm like an idealist, because it's like doesn't feel true or real for them that they can be this person. And then slowly and beautifully, it starts to happen. And they start to relate to themselves differently. And then they start to show up differently. And in the showing up differently, they start to have an experience of themselves that is different. And that starts to create this positive feedback loop where there's momentum. And this little wheel starts to spin and self-reinforce. And then other people start to notice. People start saying things like, "You're so lit up, you're so bright, you're so full of life," and creates more positive feedback. And then their reality starts reflecting back this shift from within. And there starts to be opportunities. There starts to be new relationships and new levels of connection in existing relationships. People often start to look younger, to glow more, to be more vibrant, to fall in love with their lives, to go from living in the personas that are professional and well-spoken in the way that we're supposed to be, to like being sassy and vibrant and so in love with life and not afraid to be fully who they are, all the edges, all the quirks, all the pieces. And life reflects that back to them. And it's so beautiful to watch. It's so extraordinary. It's my favorite thing in the world. And you deserve that. You deserve to blossom fully. You deserve to be all that you are, to fall in love with yourself and with life, and see where this beautiful life could take you if you showed up and embraced it so wholeheartedly, so authentically and unapologetically, because I can assure you that you will be surprised at what life has in store for you when you stop being afraid of the darkest parts of who you are and you start being fully all that you are. And if you've been craving a space like that, if you've been longing to be held at a higher standard of truth, maybe this is your invitation to explore Lux. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are unfolding. You are becoming. You are remembering who you have always been, and all that is already inside of you, all the magic, all the wealth that you will ever hold. It is already in you. You just get to remember it and to awaken fully. And if there is one thing I could tell you, it is that you are already enough. And when you stop resisting this truth and you surrender to the enoughness, your entire life expands. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're incredible. You're magic incarnate. You're a masterpiece in motion. My name is Michael Edwards. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sending you so much love, and bye for now.